In the early 2000s, amidst the wave of industrialization, modernization, and new rural policies, Phu Quỳ village underwent a drastic transformation, mirroring the changing world. The once peaceful village suddenly saw upgrades: concrete roads, asphalt pavements, and the construction of numerous infrastructure projects, electricity, roads, schools, and medical stations to serve the daily lives of its residents. However, not everyone rejoiced. For impoverished families, this rapid modernization brought immense pressure. Phu's family was one such example. Before 1975, shortly after their marriage, Phu and his wife Mai lost almost everything due to the brutal ravages of war. Their dilapidated house and all their meager savings were reduced to rubble by American bombs after the liberation. Phu was allocated some land. Yet, despite their ceaseless labor, the couple barely managed to make ends meet. On top of that, they had 2 children, Lan and Nam, both of school age. Saving any wealth was simply impossible. In recent months, their crops had been ravaged by pests. The local cooperative was trying to assist the villagers, but the immediate damage significantly impacted their harvest. With a poor harvest looming and his children's tuition fees due soon, Phu decided to travel to the Central Highlands to seek out his old friend, Lam, who had moved there as part of the new Economic Zones program. After some initial hardships, Lam had achieved some success. He owned a rather large woodworking factory, employing 20 to 30 people, producing a variety of wooden goods, from household items to fine art woodcrafts. Upon arrival, Phu was warmly welcomed by his friend. Lam also arranged food and lodging for Phu and offered him a job at the woodworking factory. His monthly earnings were enough for him to send back home to Mai and the children to cover their expenses. However, this job only lasted about 4 months. Phu had to return home because his rice fields were nearing harvest and Mai couldn't manage everything by herself. So he temporarily put aside his work at the factory and returned home to help his wife and children. Before leaving, he promised to return to the Central Highlands once the harvest was complete. Stepping off the bus at the station, Phu looked around. As it was still early, the area was quiet, not as bustling as when he had left a few months prior. After a moment, he found a motorbike taxi driver. "Brother, could you take me to Phu Quỳ village?" "Phu Quỳ village? 100,000 for that. Are you trying to rob me? Do you know how much rice 100,000 can buy? It's only about 10 or 15 kilometers from here. Why are you charging so much?" "If you don't want to go, I'll find someone else. You've already ruined my morning luck by haggling," the driver grumbled. Phu silently looked around, continuing his search. However, it seemed the other motorbike taxi drivers nearby had heard the conversation and weren't keen on taking him either. Perhaps they were colluding on prices. "All right, just name any price you think is fair. I've been working far from home, and I don't have much money left. The bus fare already took most of it." "Fine, I'll knock off 5,000, so 95,000. Give me the money up front, please. I've had too many experiences where I drove someone somewhere and they didn't have money to pay. Who am I supposed to complain to then?" Phu nodded, reached into his backpack, and after a moment, handed the driver a stack of 10,000 dong reddish-pink banknotes. "Here, I'll give you 90,000 now. I'll give you the remaining 5,000 later when I get some small change. Is that okay?" "All right, get on the bike." As he rode on the motorbike taxi, approaching Phu Quỳ village, Phu looked around. Only a few months had passed, yet both sides of the road were now bustling with power lines and poles. Beyond the antennas and power lines, he noticed that almost every house now had a color television, but his family couldn't afford one. His eldest daughter, Lan, was now 15. Nam, his son, was 5 years younger than his sister. Whenever he wrote home, he always received replies, including messages from his son. Nam would ask when their family would have a television, just like his friends. He often went to his friends' houses to watch, telling them, "My dad's working far away, but when he comes back, he'll buy us one so you can all watch too." For the past few months, Phu had managed to save some money, most of which he sent back to Mai to cover tuition fees and save for rainy days. Therefore, if he suggested buying a TV now, he was sure to face his wife's strong opposition. As Phu walked, he wondered how long this poverty would cling to his family. He arrived home to their dilapidated 4-grade house, built on the foundations of their old burnt-down house. Built was a generous term. Lacking funds, they had only managed brick walls and a tin roof. The floor wasn't tiled but bare cement, bearable in summer, but feeling like walking on ice in winter. Stepping off the motorbike, he called out, "My, is anyone home? Where's Lan?" Mai emerged from the house. Having known the exact day of his return from his letter, she wasn't surprised. She simply beamed with joy. "You're back, dear. Was the journey tiring? Do you have 5,000 dong in change? I'll pay the driver." Mai rummaged in her pocket, pulled out a few small bills, smoothed them, and handed them to the driver. The driver took in the sight of their dilapidated house and the couple's worn appearance. He shook his head. "All right, I'll knock off another 5,000 for you, brother. It's on me." "Thank you, no worries. Next time please do come back to me, all right?" Fu said. "Thank you, brother." After the motorbike taxi left, Fu pushed open the gate and walked inside. "You've been on a vehicle since last night. Your back must be breaking. Why did you travel at night instead of during the day? How could you possibly sleep on those bumpy roads?" "The fare is 20,000 dong higher during the day," Fu replied. "Besides, I thought I could just catch some sleep on the bus until we arrived. Mai, come inside, I have something for you." With that, Fu quickly went inside, sat down by the old table and chairs, and pulled a stack of money from his backpack. "Here, I'm giving this to you, Mai." "What? So much money? I thought you already sent money home through the post office last month." "That was my salary. This is a bonus Lam gave me. And when everyone heard I was coming home to help with the harvest, they each contributed a little something, like a treat for the kids. Lam is truly a good man. I must thank him properly when I have a chance. Where are Lan and Nam? Are they at school?" "Yes, they're at school. Lan is moving to high school soon, and everyone says it's very expensive, even with state support. I was thinking maybe Lan should stop studying. We only went to 3rd or 4th grade ourselves. Now she's already in 9th grade." Mai didn't get to finish her sentence before Fu cut her off sharply. "How can you say that? You and I both had so little education, and it was during difficult times for the country, which is why we ended up in this impoverished state. If we don't have wealth as a foundation, we must ensure our children have an education. I'd rather starve myself than let Lan and Nam go hungry for their studies. With knowledge, they can change their lives later, escape this hardship." Mai sighed, not wanting to argue further. "All right, I won't mention it again. You rest, I'll go cook. I bought some fresh food at the market for everyone to enjoy tonight. For the next few days, we'll just have salted morning glory and braised fish from the canal to save money. Is that okay?" "Yes, that's fine. Eating isn't important right now. I'm just worried about the 2 children." A little while later, Lan and Nam returned from school. After months of separation, both were overjoyed. Nam immediately ran to his father. "Dad, you're back." "Yes, I'm here, my little general. Have you been studying hard, listening to your mother and sister? Getting all 10s every month?" "Of course. If you're that good and you win a student award this year, bring home a certificate and Dad will buy you a toy." "A toy? I don't need one." "Oh, that's strange today. Is it going to rain heavily? This boy usually demands toys. What do you want instead?" "Dad, can you buy our family a color TV?" Nam's request left Fu momentarily speechless. Last year, when Nam had excelled in school, Fu had promised him a TV, but he hadn't been able to fulfill it yet. "Lan, take Nam to wash up, then come have dinner. Later, Dad will ask Mom for money for you 2 to buy candy." "Yes, sir," Nam replied, following his sister. That evening, dinner was perhaps the most elaborate they'd had in a long time. There was braised pork, vegetable soup, and even a plate of fruit. Nam, enjoying the delicious food, chattered incessantly, and the atmosphere in the house relaxed a little. After dinner, Fu put on his conical hat and went to the fields to check on the rice. Walking along the familiar village path, he reached his family's fields. The rice was beginning to ripen. In another half-month, this entire field would be covered in the golden hue of ripe rice. While he was examining the crops, Fu noticed a figure walking in the opposite direction. "Is that Hoa?" The person looked up. "Ah, Fu, you're back. I heard you went to the Central Highlands to work with wood." "Yes, I went there to work at a friend's timber factory. But this time, I came back to help Mai with the harvest. Once that's done, I'll go back up." "Is that so? Where are you headed now?" "Nowhere in particular. I was just heading up the nearby hill to collect some firewood to sell to the vendors at the market. They run food stalls and always need large, dry firewood from the hill. Really? Is there a lot up there? Can I come with you? You'll just be afraid you don't have enough strength to collect it all. Fill 2 sacks, and you can get almost 10,000 dong. That's great. Wait for me for a moment, all right. I'll go home and get a sack, then I'll join you. Okay, Hoa nodded and waited. This was true village camaraderie. Normally, a stranger wouldn't share their way of earning money. A little while later, following Hoa up the hill, Fu noticed that almost half the hill had been cleared to plant sweet potatoes and cassava. Hoa, whose sweet potato and cassava fields are these? I don't remember seeing them before I left. These belong to the villagers. They came up here, chopped down trees, and burned an entire section of the forest to create fields for planting cassava. Is that allowed? Well, it's a bit crooked, isn't it? No one officially permits it. They all do it secretly. Besides, this hill has been abandoned for decades. No one ever touched it. It's not protected forest land. The authorities turn a blind eye so the villagers have a way to make a living. Are you asking because you want to clear a section of the hill yourself? Hoa asked. No, I still need people to work my 2 rice fields, so I don't have the energy to clear forests for planting. Anyway, let's stop chatting and collect firewood. Whatever people say, thanks to them clearing the forest, we have firewood to gather. As Hoa spoke, he bent down to pick up firewood along the path. Fu followed suit. After some time, Fu stopped in front of a giant banyan tree. By then, he had already filled a bag. Are you done? Shall we head back? Let me rest for a bit. I probably didn't get enough sleep on the bus last night. All I want to do is lie down and close my eyes. Go ahead and rest. We'll be back in the village in about 10 minutes. I'll go a bit further. Fu nodded. It was then that he truly noticed the banyan tree behind Hoa. Normally, he wouldn't pay much attention, but his months working at his friend's timber factory had taught him the true value of such large trees. They were sought after and bought at high prices. Fu turned to Hoa and asked, Hoa, people clear this hill to plant cassava, that's fine. But what if I cut down this banyan tree and sell the wood? Good heavens, Fu, are you serious or just joking? I'm serious, why? Don't touch these old trees. Even our villagers avoid this spot and don't make fields here. Haven't you heard people say banyan trees are ghost trees? Such large, ancient trees are often inhabited by spirits, and disturbing them is taboo. Fu shook his head. I just want to ask you, if I cut down this tree now, will anyone punish me? From the commune committee, I think not, because this land belongs to the Tran family, not the forest. Look there, Hoa said, pointing to a corner of the banyan tree where a stone tomb stood. According to Fu's memory, this tomb had been there since he was a small child. The Tran family was once the wealthiest clan in the region. But for some unknown reason, people gradually moved away, so now there was no trace of anyone from that family in the village. Only occasionally, during festivals, a few people would return to clean the grave and offer incense. This land originally belongs to the Tran family, but now they're not here, and no one knows where they are. So the commune committee doesn't manage any of the trees on this hill. The only scenario where there might be an issue is if the Tran family returns and demands compensation or forbids people from planting cassava fields. Only then would we need to worry. The more Fu listened, the more he felt this was an opportunity for him. He nodded. Thank you, Hoa. Are you still planning to cut down that tree? Yes, but I need to ask you a favor. What is it? If it's about helping you cut it down, I won't do it. No, it's not that. I don't need your help cutting. I just want you to keep this a secret from the villagers. If someone finds out, I'll be in trouble. You don't need to worry about that. I guarantee you, no one in the village would dare touch a tree like that. That's excellent. Well, let's head back now before it gets dark. The 2 men quickly left the hill. On the way, Fu continued to contemplate the possibility of selling the banyan tree. He decided to write a letter to his friend, Lam, asking if he was interested in buying it. If so, Fu would arrange transport. After all, selling to an acquaintance might not fetch the highest price, but it would strengthen their relationship and allow him to show his gratitude for Lam's kindness over the years. Upon returning home, Fu found his wife sorting grains of rice and husks from a basket. Children, what's wrong, dear? Did you go to the forest? My, come here, I have something to tell you. What is it? Just tell me, I'm busy. Hurry up, this is important. Oh, why are you so urgent? Mai stood up and walked into the living room. What is it? Tell me quickly, I still have to prepare dinner. I have a plan that can help our family. Do you want to escape this poverty that constantly haunts us? A plan? Why does it sound so grand? Tell me. Fu looked outside, and after a moment, satisfied that no one else was present, he whispered his intention to cut down the ancient banyan tree to his wife. He expected Mai to be enthusiastic, but she wasn't. As soon as she heard his plan, she immediately looked at him with alarm. Are you out of your mind? Crazy? Why crazy? Why would you suddenly touch that ancient banyan tree? Haven't you heard people say such old trees have spirits? If you don't fear heaven or earth, you should at least think of your family. It is because I think of our family that I've come to this decision. Look, how many years have we worked so hard? Has our effort ever paid off? The money we earn is spent on one thing or another. Look up there. This house leaks when it rains, and we have to bring out every pot and pan to catch the water. Do you think heaven blesses this family? But still, you shouldn't touch that tree. I won't agree. Whether you agree or not is up to you. I'm not asking for your opinion, I'm just informing you. Husband, calm down, think carefully. If it were that easy, the villagers would have cut down that tree long ago. Why haven't they? It's their business if they don't cut it down, but now that the opportunity has presented itself, I don't want to miss it. I've already contacted Lamb and asked him for a price. If it's good, I'll cut it down and transport it. Seeing her husband's determined expression, Mai knew she couldn't change his mind. She could only sigh, looking out at the stark white void beyond the window. After nearly a week of researching tree-felling methods and corresponding with his friend, Fu had meticulously planned everything. He had hired 2 men from the district who owned chainsaws and could fell the banyan tree in a single day. Not only that, but after cutting it down, he would use the hill's slope to drag the tree trunk to the bottom, where a crane would be waiting. They would load the tree onto a truck and cover it with a tarp to avoid curious eyes. The transportation wouldn't be too far. Lamb wasn't buying it directly, but had connected Fu with a woodworking friend in a nearby district, only about 20 kilometers away. Now that he had contacted all parties, Fu returned home to finalize his calculations. After finishing, he felt a surge of sadness. After deducting all expenses, he would be left with over 20 million dong. At that time, 20 million dong was a considerable sum. Fu didn't plan to simply store the money away. He intended to open a small shop, importing goods to sell. As the saying goes, without commerce, there is no prosperity. Seeing her husband hunched over his notebook, calculating, Mai's anxiety did not subside. Husband, please reconsider this matter. It's a serious one. And isn't that land owned by the Tran family? What if they come back later and demand compensation for cutting down a tree on their land? Compensation? Why be afraid? Should we just sit here and wait for poverty to slowly kill us? Why not try once? Stop arguing, I'm tired now. I'm going to rest. Tomorrow morning, people will come to cut it down. Mai tried to say something else, but then stopped herself. She walked to the ancestral altar, lit incense, and whispered a prayer. Please, ancestors, protect Fu, guide his decisions, and prevent him from making any mistakes. After a peaceful night's sleep, Fu woke up the next morning. After washing and tidying himself, he lit a cigarette and sat in the living room, waiting. It wasn't long before, just past 7 o'clock, 2 men arrived on an old motorbike. Are you Fu? I'm here. Fu stood up, looking at the 2 men who carried 2 chainsaws. Are you Fuok and Dean? Yes, we are, so you want to cut down a tree. Is it here? No, not here. You two, please wait for me for a moment. When they reached the banyan tree, the 2 men seemed hesitant. Fu turned to them and asked, What's wrong? You want to cut down this asterisk tree? Yes, that's right. Cut it as close to the root as possible. But this is a banyan tree, and it's so big. It's precisely because it's so big that I need you to. If it were small, I'd just grab an axe and do it myself. Why would I need a chainsaw? The 2 men exchanged glances. Fu seemed to understand their hesitation and reassured them. Your payment is 50,000 dong, right? I'll add another 10,000 dong for each of you. the power of money convinced them. They nodded, fueled their chainsaws, and started them up. The roaring sound, combined with the first spray of sawdust from the blade, made Fu's heart pound. By mid-morning, the ancient banyan tree was almost completely felled. Fu signaled his colleagues to get ropes to wrap around the tree and guide it so the trunk would fall in a clear spot, posing no danger to any of the three men. However, as the rope was just being secured to an upper branch, a cracking sound echoed. The rope snapped from the tree, and the tree, now unbalanced, began to fall to the right. Fuok! Fuok! Dean cried out, his voice a panicked shout, as the banyan tree was falling directly towards Fuok. Fortunately, Fuok managed to jump out of the way, narrowly escaping death. Namo Amitabh Buddha, are you okay? I'm fine. Luckily, I reacted in time, or I'd be crushed under that tree right now. Fu breathed a sigh of relief at Fuok's words. After Fuok had recovered his composure, the three men moved in to roll the log down to the foot of the hill. As they moved the log from its original position, Fu noticed it had crushed and broken the stone stele of the ancient Tran family tomb. He was startled, but forced himself to focus on guiding the log with the other two men. Nothing else occupied his mind at that moment. His entire focus was on executing his plan perfectly. By the end of the day, everything seemed to be going smoothly. Fu was now riding in the truck, transporting the banyan trunk to the buyer's house. He was incredibly nervous, his hands unconsciously clasped together. And then, as he held the stack of money in his hands, he couldn't control his emotions. He clutched the money tightly and rushed home. Mai was equally anxious when she saw her husband. She had felt an unease all afternoon. Earlier, while offering incense at the altar, a burning incense ash had accidentally fallen onto a newspaper on the table, instantly igniting it. Luckily, she extinguished it in time, or who knew what might have happened. "What's wrong, dear?" she asked. "It's all done," Fu said, placing the stack of money, 22 million dong, on the table. Seeing such a large sum, Mai didn't look overjoyed. She asked, "Everything went smoothly, right? Nothing strange happened when they cut down the tree." "Smoothly, nothing at all. Now take 20 million and put it away. Leave 2 million out. I need it for something tomorrow." "What are you planning to do?" "It's a secret. Tonight, let's all have a feast to celebrate. I've made a lot of money. It could change our family's life." "Oh, I've already cooked dinner. Why spend more money? Whatever we have is fine." "No, that's not good enough." A little while later, after Lan and Nam returned from a neighbor's house, Mai served dinner. Fu left the tea table and approached the dining table. "What's this? Why is it all vegetarian?" "Today is a full moon day, don't you remember? Oh, I really am forgetful. Come on, you two, let's eat." Dinner that evening was filled with a joyful atmosphere. Fu ate and joked, trying to make everyone laugh. He even whispered to his son, Nam, to have a very good sleep tonight because a surprise awaited him in the morning. "What surprise, Dad?" "It's a secret." But no matter how much her husband joked, Mai still carried a heavy worry in her heart. She decided to go to the pagoda the next morning to offer prayers for her family's peace and to ask the gods and Buddhas for mercy if her husband had done anything wrong. Late that night, Lan and Nam went to bed. Mai checked the lock, then quietly returned to her room. Following her habit, she didn't turn on the light, partly because she would go to sleep immediately and partly to save electricity. She noticed a figure wrapped in a blanket on the bed, assuming it was her husband. She whispered, "Husband, what are you planning to do tomorrow? Don't be so mysterious, the children are excited enough." There was no reply. Mai asked again, louder, "Husband, are you asleep?" This time there was a response. "Huh, what did you say?" But the voice was Fu's, and it came not from the bed but from outside. Mai gasped, looking towards the bedroom door. When she looked back at the bed, the figure was gone, and the blanket was neatly rolled to one side. Mai's instinct kicked in, and she immediately stood up, backing away. Just then, Fu entered, turning on the room light. "What's wrong? Why do you look so panicked?" "Husband, I think I just saw someone on the bed." "This woman, who would be on the bed? Are you hiding a lover from me?" "Husband, don't say such things." Seeing his wife's serious expression, Fu didn't argue further and checked more thoroughly. He even carefully looked under the bed, but there was no one there. When Mai recounted what had just happened, Fu laughed. "This woman, you're so jumpy. It's dark, you must have seen the blanket and mistaken it for someone. Come on, go to bed and rest." Tomorrow morning, you still have to wake up early to go to the market, remember? Nam reminded me to buy a feast. I know, Mai said, slowly regaining her composure. She reached out and turned off the light switch. As both lay down, Mai suddenly remembered something she needed to ask. Husband, what are you planning to buy tomorrow, being so secretive about it? I guess. How can I guess? Are you planning to buy a bunch of toys? What's the point of those? Just tell me. All right, I'll tell you. I'm going to buy a color television. Good heavens, that's so expensive. I told you, I've already set aside 2 million dong to buy it. But we don't need that for our family. Yes, we do. I need it so everyone around us knows that our family is different now. Our children aren't poor, they don't have to go to other people's houses to watch TV. Oh my, these things. What's important about them? Don't be vain and wasteful, that money could feed our family for a whole year. You don't need to argue, we're not short on money now. Moreover, I plan to start a business soon to multiply that capital. You and I have been married for 20 or 30 years. You should know my temperament by now. If there's an opportunity to change our lives, and I don't take it, I'll be failing our ancestors. Unable to stop her husband's thoughts, Mai could only sigh. Fine, do whatever you want, I won't say anything else. Go to sleep, just remember what I said. With that, the two lay in bed, facing opposite directions. Fu's heart was fluttering with excitement, while Mai was restless. In the middle of the night, she couldn't sleep. She got up to get some water. As she poured a glass, she heard faint whispering sounds from outside, as if someone was standing by their house, talking. She put the glass down and slowly approached the side window. From there, she truly heard people talking, but their voices were too low for her to make out the words. The more she listened, the more curious and anxious she became. The gate was locked, so how could anyone be talking right next to their house? There was only one possibility: intruders. Mai immediately ran back into the room and shook her husband. Husband, husband. What now, woman? I was sleeping soundly. Husband, I think someone is outside our house again. No, it's not like before. I clearly hear people talking on the side of our house. I'm afraid it's burglars. Not only Mai, but Fu also felt a jolt of alarm. The thought of intruders, especially after acquiring such a large sum of money, immediately flashed through his mind. He quickly sat up, raised a hand to signal his wife to be quiet. The two of them silently made their way to the living room. As they approached the window facing the side of the house, Fu indeed heard the whispering. It wasn't his wife imagining things. Mai clutched her husband's hand, utterly terrified. Fu caught sight of a stick in the corner, usually used to hang the national flag. He grabbed it as a weapon. Certain that there were people outside, he signaled his wife to go to the light switch. Once Mai was in position, he gestured. As the living room light flooded the room, Fu flung open the two windows, stick in hand, and yelled, "Thieves, intruders!" Immediately, he saw not just 2 or 3, but a dozen shadowy figures standing outside, huddled together. He yelled again, raising his stick. But strangely, these figures remained motionless, showing no sign of fear or alarm. A surge of anger began to boil within him. He heard commotion in the neighboring houses, which seemed to give him more strength. He moved towards the front door, ready to rush out and confront the thieves, but as he stepped into the yard, there was no one there. From the neighboring houses, Hai and Mew quickly appeared. "Fu, what's going on, brother?" Fu looked at his two neighbors, who also carried sticks. "I think there were burglars trying to break into my house. Where are they? They must have fled." "Good heavens, these fellows are very bold. Come with me, let's go around the house. They might be hiding, lying in wait. If we're not careful, we'll be dead." Fu nodded, then followed his two neighbors around the house. They searched through the bushes in the backyard. After a while, finding no trace of any strangers, the 3 men returned and stood under the eaves. Mai emerged from inside, looking worried. "What's going on, dear?" "They must have run away. Thank you, Hai and Mew, very much. It's probably because they saw you two that they got scared and left." "It's nothing, we're neighbors after all. Oh, while I'm here, may I invite you too? Are you busy tomorrow?" "Busy? Not really, just some farm work." "That's great then. Come to my house tomorrow, we'll have a small gathering." "What's the occasion for a gathering?" "No, it's a celebration. I've been back for a few months, but I've been too busy to organize anything until now. All right then, we'll be there tomorrow afternoon. After seeing his two neighbors off, Fu returned inside. The couple tried to secure the house as thoroughly as possible, fearing the intruders might return. Mai was so anxious she kept waking up to check. Fu's sleep that night was also rather disturbed. He woke up feeling lightheaded, his head pounding. He felt a chill and thought, "I'm sick." He looked over to his side but didn't see his wife. He assumed she was preparing breakfast, despite it being so early. But before he could even get out of bed, he heard footsteps running from outside. The door opened, and Mai appeared, her face pale with terror. "Husband, something has happened." "What is it, dear?" "Our chickens, they're all dead." "Dead? How? I don't know, come and see for yourself." Following his wife, Fu went to the chicken coop in the backyard. What he saw shocked him. A dozen chickens, big and small, lay scattered on the ground. Their eyes were shut, their legs stiffly pointed towards the sky. Good heavens, what happened to them? He approached closer, thinking they might have contracted a chicken disease as he'd heard on the news recently. But this thought was quickly dismissed. He noticed bite marks and torn flesh around the neck of each chicken, their necks swollen. He knelt down and prodded the carcass of a white chicken with his foot. It felt strangely light, and when he examined it, there was no blood inside. "What is this?" He looked at his wife. Mai had been speechless until now. The couple stood dumbfounded for almost half an hour before Fu finally spoke. "Go inside, Mai. I'll clean this up." Mai went inside, still reeling from the shock, wondering what had caused this massacre. After she left, Fu inspected the chicken carcasses again. He had initially planned to pluck and clean them to sell at the market, hoping to salvage some money. But now, looking closely, their skin and flesh were dry, as if all the blood had been sucked out, then sun-dried. If he brought them to the market now, vendors would immediately know there was something wrong with the chickens. So, with no other option, he gathered them all into a pile and buried them. Returning to the back of the house, Fu saw his wife. Mai had been peeking from the corner of the door, watching him. "Mai," he said, seeing her, "what on earth caused this?" "It's nothing. They probably just got sick and died. Don't raise any more chickens, they just mess up the yard and make it dirty. Now go to the market quickly so you can buy good food. I don't want to have to go all the way to the town to shop." Fu then went upstairs. He carefully placed the 2 million dong from yesterday into his pocket, then put on a jacket. Lan, having smelled the smoke, immediately asked, "Dad, what are you burning?" "Huh, just trash, nothing important. Watch your brother for Mom, she's gone to the market. Tonight, we're having a party. Dad has a get-together with the neighbors. Help Mom, don't let her get angry by doing everything alone." "Yes, Dad. Oh, Dad, last night Nam was really restless when he slept." "Restless how? I don't know how to explain it, but he kept jolting awake while sleeping. When I woke up this morning to go to the bathroom, he was sitting at the foot of the bed, and it took a lot of calling for him to finally lie down and sleep, Dad." "Well, it's probably nothing. Remember what Dad said, there'll be a gift when Dad gets back." "Yes, Dad." Fu then went outside. Since the town was quite far, he couldn't use his bicycle. He borrowed a neighbor's Honda motorbike. Near noon, Fu returned home. Another vehicle followed him through the gate. In it were 2 employees from an electronics store carrying a large cardboard box. Lan, seeing her father, emerged from the house. "You're back, Dad. What did you buy?" "Get out of the way, child. Please come in, gentlemen." Fu had to direct the 2 men to drive into his yard. The box was placed on the doorstep. Mai, hearing the commotion from inside, quickly came out. She already knew what was in the box, but she couldn't help but be surprised. Only Lan gasped when the box was opened. "Good heavens, Dad, did you buy a TV?" "Yes, I bought a TV for you 2 to watch cartoons, and for your mom to watch her dramas and movies." "Oh my, Nam, where are you?" Lan called for her younger brother. Nam was the last to arrive, and at first he seemed overjoyed, bouncing up and down. But after just one look, he turned and went back inside. Fu was surprised by his son's reaction. He looked at Lan and asked, "Has anyone yelled at him or hit him since this morning? He looks so lifeless." "No, nothing like that. I came back from the market, cooked, and cleaned all morning. The 2 of them were playing together. You should ask Lan. Lan, did you do anything to him?" "No, I didn't do anything." "Then why is he like that? He's been like that since he woke up, and he won't even answer when I call him. "Dad, you should talk to him. He won't listen to me." Putting aside his son's strange behavior for a moment, Fu turned to the two employees to install the TV and antenna. After about an hour and a half, the first signals and images appeared on the television screen, making Fu very excited. Mai, though initially against it, now also had a slightly more relaxed expression. After paying the technicians and seeing them off, Fu approached his son. He sat down and ruffled Nam's hair. "Nam, do you want to watch cartoons? Dad will find a channel for you, okay? Later, when you can use the remote, a superhero movie will appear with just a press of a button." Nam, however, contrary to expectations, remained still as a statue. Fu felt a strange unease and asked, "Nam, are you angry about something? Tell Dad will give you money to buy sweets." Normally, at this point, Nam would have brightened up and flashed a toothy grin, but now the only response was silence, along with a vacant, tired gaze as if he hadn't slept for days. "Dad doesn't understand what's wrong with you. If you don't want to watch, go to your room and sleep." Only then did Nam show a slight reaction, standing up and walking stiffly towards the bedroom. Returning to the TV, Fu purposely turned on a news channel, making the volume quite loud. Of course, ever since he brought the TV home, the neighbors had been curious. He wanted them to pay attention. He was sure that once he became prosperous and renovated their house, his family would gain new standing in the community. That evening, dinner was indeed a feast, just as Fu had promised, resembling a holiday banquet. However, once again, Nam's behavior struck everyone as utterly bizarre. It wasn't that he didn't eat, but he ate a tremendous amount. He ate so much that even Fu couldn't imagine it. The boiled chicken, which Mai had chopped into about 20 pieces, was almost entirely consumed by Nam alone, more than 2/3 of it. And he even greedily pulled the plate closer to himself. Annoyed, Mai finally snapped. "Nam, what kind of eating is this? What's wrong with you? Why aren't you answering?" Nam continued to gobble down the chicken, not even bothering to look up at her. "Do you want me to hit you?" Mai raised her hand to strike him. Almost immediately, Nam dropped the chicken piece and began to cry loudly. Fu quickly intervened, stopping his wife. "Mai, calm down. He probably hasn't had such a good meal in a long time, that's all. Let's overlook his manners for a bit." Nam then picked up the chicken piece again. Another strange thing was that normally, the boy didn't know how to handle bones. Every time he ate meat, Mai had to cut it into small, boneless pieces. But now he ate like an adult, stripping the meat clean off the bones. "He's finished the chicken." Nam then moved to a nearby bowl. In it were several fried fish, and he picked them up one by one, putting them directly into his mouth. This uncouth behavior could no longer be ignored by Fu. He began to scold him. "Nam, what are you doing, child? Eat properly. Earlier, Dad only said that so Mom wouldn't hit you. Don't think Dad approves of this." Nam, however, showed no fear. Instead, he looked up at his father with a challenging gaze, his mouth still noisily chewing on a fish head. Fu raised his hand, intending to strike him, but then stopped. He didn't have the habit of hitting his children. Lan, seeing the scene, pulled her brother aside, crying, "Come on, you're being naughty, little brother. Come outside, I'll help you wash your hands." While the two children went outside, only the couple remained at the table, strewn with chicken bones. "It's a good thing we're eating at home," Mai said. "If he ate like that at a party, we'd be so embarrassed. Husband, don't you think Nam is acting strangely?" "Strange how?" "I have a feeling he's not our child anymore." "Oh, this woman, what are you talking about now? Is it some sort of ritual? If he's not our child, then whose is he? The neighbor's child." "No, I don't mean that." But at that moment, Lan led Nam back in, and Mai stopped speaking. "Just make sure your hands are clean and behave properly." And now, everyone went from one surprise to another. Nam looked up, bewildered at his surroundings. "Oh, our dinner is delicious tonight," he asked, as if he hadn't eaten anything since morning. Lan gave him a gentle smack on the bottom. "This boy, all you do is joke around. You just ate all of everyone's chicken. Don't pretend you don't remember." "I didn't eat anything." "All right, just eat your dinner. Stop talking," Mai said immediately. Throughout that evening, she couldn't take her eyes off her son. Nam, meanwhile, was no longer eating sloppily, but had returned to his normal, polite eating habits. After dinner, Mai took the bowls to the kitchen to wash them, with Lan following to help. In the living room, Nam once again displayed his bewilderment at the television. "Oh, wow, Dad bought a TV." But Fu knew perfectly well that he had shown the TV to his son before dinner. and Nam's reaction then had been completely different. As evening approached, Fu's drinking party was about to begin. The weather was a bit hot, so he had the dining table moved outside into the yard. The light bulb under the eaves provided some illumination. Joining the party tonight were Hai and Mew, the two neighbors who had helped them last night, along with a few other close relatives and friends. At exactly 5 p.m., as the sun was almost entirely set behind the village bamboo, everyone gathered around the table. There were several dishes today: roast duck, boiled pork, several plates of blood sausage, and most notably, a seafood hot pot dishes Mai seemed to have never cooked for a regular family meal or drinking party before. Just seeing these dishes, everyone was greatly surprised. Hai immediately asked, "Fu, tell us honestly, did you win the lottery or something?" "Good heavens, win the lottery? Where?" "Exactly," others chimed in. "What did we see? First, you bought a TV, and now this lavish feast. It must have cost 1,000,000 dong at least." "No, I didn't win the lottery. I've been working far from home for so long, and I haven't socialized much with you all. Also, I'm planning to open a general store soon, selling everything from sweets to clothes. Remember to support me." "Good heavens, you're even going into business." "My wife and I have been saving for so many years. It's time for a change in life, isn't it? Don't be afraid we won't change our lives. We'll stay poor forever." "Don't worry, just open it. We'll definitely support you." Just hearing those reassuring words, Fu felt at ease. "All right then, let's raise our glasses and begin." The party continued with laughter and well wishes from everyone. Meanwhile, inside the house, Mai was feeding the two children the same dishes as at the outdoor party, just smaller portions. During the meal, she kept an eye on Nam. Now he was eating normally. Since the afternoon, he hadn't shown any strange behavior. But before she could relax, the bowl in his hand suddenly fell to the ground, shattering into pieces. "Good heavens, Nam, what's wrong, child?" Mai was about to question him when she noticed Nam was sitting with his head bowed, completely motionless, like a block of wood. Lan was scrambling to pick up the broken pieces from the floor, afraid her brother might step on them and cut himself. Outside, Fu heard the sound and called out to his wife, "What's wrong?" "Nothing, Dad. Nam just dropped his rice bowl. I'll buy him some sturdier bowls later." Then, Fu's and the neighbors' laughter rang out. But Mai, with a woman's intuition, felt that the person sitting in front of her was no longer her son. As if sensing Mai's thought, Nam suddenly looked up at her, his eyes wide and staring. The gaze was so terrifying it made Mai shiver, causing her to drop the bowl she was holding onto the floor as well. After Lan had finished cleaning up, she found another bowl for her brother, not forgetting to warn him, "Eat carefully, don't break this one too, remember?" But Nam was no longer eating. He simply stood up and walked stiffly towards his room. "Nam, you haven't finished eating. Nam!" Lan was about to get up and follow her brother when Mai stopped her. "Lan, you stay here, I'll take care of it." "Yes, Mom." Lan sat back down at the table, her eyes still fixed on the bedroom door. Mai then stood up and slowly approached. Before pushing the door open, she took a deep breath. The door opened. Mai didn't rush in but looked towards the sleeping area. Nam was sitting on the edge of the bed, his back to the wall, his eyes fixed on hers. "Nam, Nam," Mai called her son, but the boy remained still. She reached out and turned on the small lamp in the room, then stepped inside. "Nam, come out and eat more, child. There's nothing to be angry about." The boy remained silent until Mai was standing right next to him. She was about to reach out and call him again when suddenly, the boy turned around. His face now looked utterly grotesque. His skin was pale and cracked, his eyes nothing but dark, empty voids, his mouth gnawed, revealing black, rotting teeth. "Who are you asking? Who are you calling?" Immediately, the lamp in the room flickered and died. Everything plunged into darkness. The scream made Lan, Fu, and the neighbors jump. When they rushed inside and turned the light back on, Mai was standing in the corner of the room, while across from her, Nam was lying on the bed, his eyes closed as if nothing had happened. Fu went over and asked, "What's wrong, Mai?" "Husband Nam, what's wrong with Nam? He's sleeping." "No, husband, look at him. He's not our child." "What are you talking about?" Fu slowly approached his son. He placed a hand on his shoulder and whispered, "Nam, Dad's calling you, son." But the boy remained motionless. Fu then pulled the blanket off him and felt his limbs. It was then that Fu recoiled in horror. "Good heavens, Nam, oh my son." he turned, stammering to those around him. Everyone, help me, Nam has a high fever. Quickly, take him to the hospital. What followed was a flurry of activity as people rushed to carry Nam out. Only Mai remained in the corner, her eyes fixed, staring at the bedroom. For her, it wasn't just a simple matter, because it seemed that when the light went out, she had caught a glimpse of 4 or 5 other dark figures in the room. They were standing next to her and her son. It was these figures that had sent her into a terrified frenzy, causing her to run back into the house. That night in the hospital waiting room in town, Fu sat slumped, his eyes red and swollen with exhaustion. Since bringing Nam here, the nurses had taken him into the emergency room. But nearly an hour passed and there was no news. Just then Mai arrived. She had ridden her bicycle all the way, which was why she was only just now getting there. Seeing her husband, she immediately called out, "Husband, are you here? Who's watching the house?" "I told Lan to watch Nam. I don't know what's wrong with Nam. The doctors are still talking inside the emergency room." Oh my, how did things turn out like this? He didn't show any signs of illness at all. He was perfectly normal all day. "No, he wasn't normal at all," Mai exclaimed. "What are you talking about?" Fu immediately realized she was deliberately ignoring his earlier attempts to downplay Nam's strange behavior. "Weren't you surprised by Nam's strangeness since this afternoon?" "Well, yes, a little, but no, I don't think he's our child." "This woman, you're saying that again." "Husband, I feel like there's something else in our house." Mai began to describe the shadowy figures in the room, the ones that had been next to her son. But Fu, who had never believed in supernatural things, shook his head. "Stop talking such nonsense, Mai. How can you even say such things?" "Then you explain to me what made our child like this. A child who's only in 4th grade, he's never been able to chew bones properly before. But now he's eating chicken and fish bones like an adult. Who would eat like that?" Fu fell silent, rubbing his forehead with a hand. After a moment, he shook his head. "Don't talk like that, I'm already so stressed. It's probably just him being mischievous. Don't blame everything on the supernatural. People are already going to the moon and Mars, and you're still stuck in the past." Just then, the emergency room door creaked open. A middle-aged doctor with thick glasses emerged. Both Fu and Mai rushed towards him. "Doctor, how is he?" "Are you the parents of the boy brought in earlier?" "Yes, doctor." "I hope you can remain calm while I deliver this news." "Yes, doctor." "The boy didn't make it. He had a high fever and went into anaphylactic shock." "What? You quack. I brought my son here for a slight fever. How could you let him go into anaphylactic shock?" "Sir, I can assure you that we didn't use any medication on him. The only thing we gave him was a fever reducer. You can request a surveillance recording if you wish. This is truly an outcome no one wishes for, but we have no choice but to inform the family. We couldn't save him." "No, you can't say that. You have to save him." Fu seemed to lose his composure, not noticing that Mai had gone limp and fallen to her knees. When he finally realized, he panicked. Mai, what's wrong?" He quickly lifted his wife, trying to call her name, but Mai remained unconscious, so she too was taken into an emergency room. That night Mai awoke. Her mind seemed still clouded and she looked around, confused. "Where am I?" A nurse, seeing her awake, immediately approached. "Hello, ma'am, how are you feeling?" "Why am I here?" "Don't you remember? Your husband and son were brought in earlier, but the boy didn't make it. You fainted when you heard the news." The nurse recounted the recent tragedy, expecting Mai to be distraught and search for her son. But Mai suddenly tilted her head back and let out a chilling, hollow laugh. "You're lying. My son can't be dead. He's at home, waiting for me to return. I'm not staying here." The nurse looked at Mai with concern and approached her. "Ma'am, please calm down. Your husband is currently in the morgue, handling the procedures for the body. I'm telling you this so you can rest assured. You should stay here, get some rest, and when you're stronger, you can mourn your child." "No, my child cannot die." Mai laughed again, her laughter chillingly cold. She even tried to run out to go home. Recognizing signs of mental instability, the nurse immediately called for more staff, who gently restrained Mai and sent someone to inform Fu. About half an hour later, Fu arrived, his eyes bloodshot, likely from weeping profusely over his son's body. He rushed to Mai. "Mai, what's wrong?" There you are, quickly, call the police and arrest all these swindlers. What? What are you saying? Quickly, call them to arrest them. They dared to lie and say our son is dead. Good heavens, husband, look, how can something like this happen? Fu silently looked at his wife, then whispered, Nam is truly gone. What? How could he be gone? I'm telling you, he's gone, Mai. But at this moment, Mai still didn't believe the truth before her. She laughed and slapped her husband's arm. You're so naughty. You're colluding with these quacks to trick me. Just wait until I see Nam, I'll expose you and them. Fu could only sigh. He stood up and whispered to a nurse, please, give her a sedative injection. Hopefully, she'll be stable by tomorrow morning. The next morning, as dawn broke, Fu stirred from his troubled sleep on a stone bench. He stood up and looked around. Just now, in his delirious dream, he had seen Nam standing right in front of him, but with eyes full of resentment. He called his name, but the boy didn't respond. Instead, he turned his back and walked away, limping. Fu tried to follow, but then woke up. What just happened? He rubbed his forehead to clear his mind. Nam's body had already undergone all necessary procedures, and they were just waiting for a bit more daylight before the ambulance would take the body home. Remembering Mai, Fu mumbled to himself, I wonder how she is now. With a heavy heart, he slowly walked to Mai's Bing room. Upon arriving, he saw his wife sitting on the bed, her face vacant, looking around. But what was truly striking was her expression. It was utterly blank and hard to comprehend. Fu stepped inside. There were a few other patients who hadn't woken up yet, so he tried to walk as slowly as possible towards his wife's hospital bed. He softly called out, Mai, my dear. But Mai immediately stared at her husband with wide, unblinking eyes. What is it? Who are you? What are you trying to do to me? Calm down, I'm here. Quickly, get away from me. Good heavens, are you trying to harm me? Is anyone there? Help me. Mai's cries for help instantly drew the attention of everyone in the room. Fu was utterly bewildered as he looked like a madman attacking the woman in front of him. Two nurses rushed over. They clearly recognized Fu, so they tried to reassure Mai. Ma'am, please calm down. But Mai regarded these nurses as enemies. She stared at them fiercely and threw the pillows and blankets from the bed at them. Get away from me. You're trying to harm me, aren't you? Help me. Fu, exhausted both mentally and physically, seemed to lose his patience with his wife. He sternly shouted, Mai, Nguyen Kai Mai, aren't you going to wake up? Wake up and arrange our son's funeral, or do you intend to stay here forever? Fu's words seemed to startle Mai back to reality. She stared intently at him, stammering, Mai, my son? Yes, my son. She clutched her husband's arm. Husband, where is my son? Husband? Fu thought his wife had returned to normal and gently said, Our son is gone, Mai. Nam is gone. Fu's words seemed to push Mai further into hysteria. She returned to her panicked state, worried, and even loudly insisted that her son was not dead. She believed he was being held captive somewhere by these people, simply for entertainment. It was already past 8 a.m., and his wife's condition hadn't improved. Fu now reluctantly left her at the hospital for treatment, while he followed the ambulance that carried his son's body home. Upon arrival, the villagers, seeing the ambulance, were curious and dismayed. Because from last night, after Fu went to the hospital, his friends and neighbors had returned home, so no one knew that Nam had passed away. The ambulance stopped in front of the gate. Fu stepped out and several neighbors rushed over to ask, Fu, what's wrong, brother? Why is there an ambulance? Fu looked around and shook his head. Everyone, please make way. We need to bring Nam inside for the funeral arrangements. Funeral arrangements? What are you saying, Fu? Fu could no longer contain his grief. He ran to the back door of the ambulance and cried like a child. It was then that everyone began to realize that Nam was truly gone. Oh my, what a pity for the poor child. He was so young. Fu frantically wiped his eyes, then stood up and asked the nurses to help him carry the stretcher with Nam's body inside. This time, Fu found the house gate locked. He had left in a hurry last night and hadn't brought the key. He stood there and called inside. Lan, come open the gate for Dad and your brother, child. After calling, Fu was met with silence. It was noon now, and Lan should have answered immediately. He was about to call again when a neighbor spoke up. Who are you calling inside, brother? I'm calling Lan. Wasn't she with your wife when you went to the hospital? No one's been home since this morning. Why is it so quiet? No, last night your wife rode her bike alone. Lan was at home, watching the house. Oh, that's strange. Seeing this, Fu called again. Lan. But all that answered him was silence. He knew this wasn't right, as Nam's body still hadn't been brought inside, and he didn't want everyone to see his son like this. Fu turned to Mew. Mew, do you have a pair of wire cutters? Can I borrow them? Yes, wait a moment. A little while later, Mew returned, and the lock was cut open, the gate swinging wide. Come on, step into the yard, Fu called again. Lan! Receiving no reply, he now kicked open the front door. On the third kick, the bolt gave way. Fu walked straight inside. At this point, he only considered the possibility that Lan might have gone out to play since it was the weekend. But as he stood in the living room, he was horrified by the sight, Lan's body hanging lifelessly from the ceiling. Not only Fu, but everyone present was shocked and terrified. Early that afternoon, the police arrived to cordon off the scene and conduct an autopsy. They concluded that Lan had committed suicide by hanging, but how could Fu accept this? He knew his daughter had no reason to take her own life. He grabbed a police officer by the collar. You all need to investigate thoroughly for me. Intruders broke into the house. Calm down, sir. We have thoroughly examined the scene. There are no traces of outsiders. All doors were locked from the inside. As for why she committed suicide, we are still investigating. It could be family pressure or a love affair. We also noticed that you've lost your son. We are truly sorry for your loss. If you need any further legal assistance, please let us know. Fu released the officer's collar. I don't need any of that, just leave. Leave! After the police left, Fu looked at the bodies laid on the bed, feeling utterly numb with shock. From last night until now, he had thought Nam's death was a tragic accident. But now, Lan was also gone from this world. Fu was distraught, so the villagers came together to help him make all the arrangements. While waiting for the 2 coffins to be delivered, everyone was surprised to see Mai riding her bicycle back. Everyone thought she would lament and weep over her family's current plight. But no, she not only didn't cry, but she smiled. From the moment she rode into the yard until she entered the house. Children, Mom's home. Fu looked up, stammering, Mai, you're back. Mai seemed not to care about his words and walked straight to the bed where the bodies of their 2 children lay. Her next action was truly unsettling. She clasped Lan's hand, then tilted her head back and laughed. Mom is home with you too, you see. Fu felt a chill. His wife's laughter was completely out of place. What are you laughing about? They're both gone. Are you happy? Mai suddenly looked up, and Fu recoiled at her piercing gaze. Yes, I'm happy because you finally have to pay the price. What are you saying? Happy because I have to pay the price. What are you talking about? Are you crazy? Pay the price for what? Pay the price? You must pay the price for destroying my house. At this moment, Fu realized his wife's voice was completely different. It was deep and raspy, like an old man's. What's wrong with you, Mai? Mai, what Mai? I am not your wife. With a chilling tone, Mai then reverted to her insane state. She looked around blankly. Where is Nam? Witnessing this scene, the neighbors were horrified. Mew then spoke up. Fu, what's going on here? What's wrong? Come closer, all of you. When everyone came outside with no one else nearby, Mew asked, I feel like something isn't right here. Why did 3 members of Mai's family die in just one night? I don't know. What I'm about to say, don't take offense, don't let it upset you. Go on. I'm afraid you might have disturbed something hidden, something spiritual. Why do you say that? Well, just now I heard Mai deliberately mention you destroying someone's house. You're not crazy, so you didn't destroy it. I think this house isn't a house for the living, but a house for the dead. What do you mean, a house for the dead? You mean a grave? Have you recently disturbed any graves? No. Fu was about to shake his head, denying it, but then he hesitated. Just then, he remembered the Tran family tomb at the base of the banyan tree, which he had accidentally damaged. So you remember now? Fu was silent for a moment, then nodded. I think so. Whose grave was it that I disturbed? Fu then recounted the entire story to his neighbor. Hearing it, Mew's eyes widened, his mouth agape. Good heavens! Fu, how could you do such a foolish thing? Do you know the history of the Tran family's grave being cursed? Cursed? What curse? I kept this secret. Not many people in the village know. You see, back in the time of the Tran family's great-grandfather, he was a servant to the French, committing many evil deeds. He was executed by his own people, and the entire family tried to hide this fact because they feared people's scorn. After his burial, a series of strange events began to happen. people in the family fell ill, suffered from various ailments. They invited a shaman to investigate, who discovered that the great-grandfather's soul was filled with too much resentment and had become a ghost, capable of taking people's souls. They had to organize many rituals and ceremonies to seal the grave, right under that banyan tree where he was buried. And that's when it finally quieted down. After a while, the entire Tran family even moved away to escape the curse. Everyone thought the grave was peaceful, but now you've disturbed it again, making the seals useless. Oh my God! Hearing this, Fu's limbs went numb. If it had been any other time, hearing such stories, he would have scoffed. But now, facing all that had happened, he no longer had any such doubts. He immediately ran outside, knelt on the ground, and cried out, "Ancestors, I've harmed my children." He then looked at his wife, stammering, unable to speak. I didn't know, so I offended you. Please spare my wife." A chilling laugh emanated from Mai. Mai stood up, staring at Fu. "It's too late. You are about to witness your family's destruction. Not just you, but also the disrespectful descendants of the Tran family, who dared to imprison me for 100 years. Her eyes rolled back, showing only the whites, and her body convulsed before she fell to the ground, unconscious. Mai was taken to the hospital. That same day, with the help of Mew and other neighbors, Fu arranged for a shaman to officiate the funeral for his 2 children and find a way to resolve the calamity that had befallen them. The shaman arrived, took one look, and shook his head. "This misfortune is hard to escape. You only have yourself to blame for interfering with things you shouldn't have." "I was foolish, I didn't realize. Please try your best. I'm willing to face whatever comes, even if I die." "Death isn't the end of it. Just do what you can, please." After the shaman's rituals, the situation didn't seem to improve much. Strange things began to happen again in the house. Objects moved around on their own, whispers could be heard at night, and pieces of plaster on the walls looked as if something with sharp claws had scratched them. Fu often found himself sitting by his children's 2 coffins, praying to Buddha. The neighbors, seeing so many bizarre occurrences, dared not come near. Only during the day would people like Mew visit to offer incense and bring food and drinks to Fu. On the 3rd day, it was time to bring Lan and Nam to the cemetery. The shaman used a compass to guide them. When they reached the burial ground, he waited for the compass to stop spinning and point in a direction. "Bury them here, the 2 of them. Be careful and plant some mulberry trees around them. For 49 days, you must not kill any living thing in the house, and all offerings must be vegetarian." However, all of the shaman's words proved futile. After only the first 7 days, Fu was found lying unconscious on the couch in the living room, reeking of alcohol. His face showed a mix of laughter, tears, joy, and horror. When news of Fu's death reached Mai, who was still being treated in the mental hospital, she clapped her hands and cheered. "Hooray, hooray, he's dead. Finally, he's dead. He dared to destroy my house." Looking at Mai then, no one could tell when she, too, would follow her husband and children. 3 months later, the residents of Fu Kui village were surprised to see a group of elegantly dressed people arriving in luxurious cars. They introduced themselves as descendants of the Tran family. For years, to avoid the curse, they had to leave their homeland and seek livelihoods elsewhere. Some went abroad, others traded from north to south. The curse stemmed from their great-grandfather, and by then, 7 members of the family had died unnatural deaths. Before dying, they all spoke the same exact phrase, "He has come for you." Returning to their ancestral land this time, they decided to hire a dozen shamans to perform a grand ritual to finally break the lingering curse. Villagers, curious, flocked to the hill to watch. The shamans encircled the ancient banyan tree, which had been chopped down to its roots, and the tomb with its broken steel, chanting incantations. Dark clouds gathered in the sky and lightning flashed intermittently. A few people, unable to bear it, left and returned home. The ritual lasted until late evening. As rain began to fall, the oldest shaman in the group started to draw blood on the ground around the tomb, then dug up the scattered bone fragments from inside, crushed them, and had them ritually disposed of. Here, the curse officially ended. The Tran family descendants then organized a charity event for the villagers before leaving. Now about Fu's dilapidated 4-grade house. One evening, someone saw a figure approaching the gate, fumbling as if wanting to enter. Mew happened to pass by. "Who's there? No one lives here. What are you trying to do?" The figure turned, startling Mew. It was Mai. It was indeed Mai, but she looked utterly worn out with dark circles under her eyes. Hello, Brother Mew. Good heavens, Mai, where have you been all this time? Why are you only coming back now? I heard everyone say you were in the mental hospital. Now you can rest assured, Brother Mew, because he no longer occupies my body. That's wonderful, but it looks like the lock has been changed. Ah, yes, I changed it. The old lock was broken that night, so I replaced it with a new one. It'll be convenient when you come to offer incense. Then, all this time, who has been looking after the incense and offerings for your husband and children? It wasn't just me, Brother Mew also contributed. For a few days after Fu and the children were gone, people gathered to prepare vegetarian meals and sat together. Fu was both pitiable and blameworthy. So now that you're back, will you take care of the incense for your husband and children? They have finally found peace. Thank you, brother, Mai said, taking the key from Mew's hand. As Mew walked away, she opened the door and stepped inside. Just as Mew had said, though no one had lived there, the house was clean and tidy. On the altar placed close together were 3 photographs, Fu, Lan, and Nam. Mai walked over and lit 3 sticks of incense. After placing them, she opened her bag. From inside, she took out 3 small wooden figurines and placed them on the altar. Her eyes narrowed. A faint, chilling smile spread across her lips. Husband and children, rest assured, I will bring everyone back.